John Neumeier in Hamburg, and I write for Hamburg newspapers, and then I write for monthly magazines. Yeah.
And they are more monthly magazines in Hamburg or national or?
No, in Hamburg. In Hamburg and national, there are some, yeah, in German. They are published all over Germany. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's how we met actually, because you're writing for some of these media.
Yeah, right. Yeah, yeah. I went to the Lichthof Theater because I really tried to write more about the little theaters. That's what really interests me from the beginning, and to give them a voice, because it's much harder for them to be recognized at all. And so we met in the small theater, Lichthof Theater, and you were the new, what did you tell me, communication director.
Yeah.
And after the performance, I had some questions and I asked you, and I was introduced to you, and I had some questions and you could answer them. But when I got home, I gave you my email address, of course, and then you answered much more than I had asked. And you sent me some information by email. That's the same night. And I really was astonished, because that I wasn't used to yeah, doing this kind of job that way.
Yeah. Ah, okay,
so,
that sounds good.
yeah, same night you send me some links and look here and check this, and they say, wow, he's doing his job that very well.
Yeah, once in a while I like my jobs, and then then I'm into them. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, and from then on we saw each other to certain premieres or for reviews and everything. Yeah. Is that because that's another question. How do you decide? So first of all, writing about theater and about dance, right?
Mm-hmm. First,
and how do you decide what you're gonna see or what you want to see?
It's not always my decision, because I offer reviews of premieres, but sometimes the magazines ask me, can you go there? Are you going to see this? Are you going to watch this? And can you write until then? And so it's both ways. I offer and they ask me. So it's not always only my decision alone.
And who's they? Is that then the editor of the newspaper? Or?
Yeah, or maybe the theater person in the whole editor crew.
Yeah.
For example, it's called Scene. It's a monthly magazine in Hamburg covering all the culture events, and there's a person responsible for theater.
Yeah. And they decide basically. How often do you, in normal times, how often do you see theater or dance?
Before and after Corona or whatever this time may be called, 5 times a week.
Yeah. So, yeah. 5 times a week. It's a job.
Yes, I choose it. I love it.
Yeah. The way you write a critic or the deadlines about all of this, we're going to talk in a different segment. But that's kind of, I thought it would be good to give a little impression of the critic's life, and it's you have to. So it's often on the weekends, probably, you know. So weekend is actually when you work most.
No, not during the week as well. Yeah, there's the English theater, by the way, their opening nights are always on Thursday, so I have to write on Friday so it could be published on Saturday, for example.
I wanted to go, if nobody else has a question in the audience, you can always write the question in the chat. But how does your editor, or is there what do newspapers think is interesting, can you convince them of what you like, or do they have their own opinions about everything, or do they trust their critics after all, or how does this work? Because
Yeah, I
it's a
think
business after all, and they have their own preferences or something.
um, I can convince them, well, really often, I think, but they knew their readers, so I have to know what to offer to whom,
Yeah,
and so the experience showed me that it's yeah, useful to offer special theater for children, not in the scene,
yeah,
maybe. So I now know what to offer to whom. Yeah.
yeah. And there's a lot. I think Hamburg has Hamburg alone has around 50 theaters, if I'm not mistaken.
uh
Plus 50
40.
plus
40.
40. Oh,
Mhm.
less than before.
Yeah.
Less than in my time, 10 years ago. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So around 40 theaters, which is still a lot, I think, compared to big American cities. They might have trouble to find 40 theaters in one city. And
Hmm.
that's part of, I think, yeah, that is maybe part of the question: how is German theater different from American theater, but also from European theater? I mean, we discussed this last time. Basically, I can answer that part. Towards it's a different way of funding, and the state, depending on the state, depending in which state of Germany you live, the government actually even supports little theaters, either with grants for certain productions or really for the general operations. And I think in Hamburg it's actually not too bad what they do. Maybe not good enough, but it's in relation to other places, it's not bad. Oh, Dagmar, what's
Yeah, but
your
Hamburg is there are three no, in fact there are four, three and a half if you want to, state theaters, and this is Thalia, Schauspielhaus, Oper, the opera, and Kampnagel, which is kind of off theater scene, and there and Hamburg is still supporting little small theaters in a way by for example, they support one special project, or they support one season.
yeah,
This is
yeah,
possible.
exactly. One full season, no? And
Yeah.
that's really so helpful for these little, and it really allows you to do good productions that you couldn't do without it. Yeah.
Mhm.
It's a sense of value for the theater, I find.
And maybe coming back to Charlie D, um, I it's well, I think I can't really compare, because can't compare whatever uh, other countries with Germany, because I haven't seen that much in other cities in other countries, so I couldn't really talk about it substantially.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I
I,
think
I'm
German
I
in
depend on the German language. Well, I saw some English performances, but yeah.
yeah. Yeah, that's really a thing, no? The German language space is somehow important. I think what is different or more pronounced in German theater than in any other in Europe is this maybe it's fading away right now again, but this post-dramatic approach that you really take a play and rip it apart, so to speak,
Yeah.
or add content from other places or your own. I've done that, for example, as a writer. I all the time, but I think if anything, for some reason, this is one thing that is more pronounced in Germany than I think anywhere else in the world. Really, it's my impression.
Yeah. But they're doing this for, I think, some centuries already, taking a classical piece and adding some today speech and adding strange language maybe to it, and then yeah, showing what's called Nathan der Weise, for example, but you sometimes you hardly recognize what this center was about.
Yeah. Yeah, it sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah, yeah.
But I think, I don't know what you think about it. I think it's a very interesting approach that actually revitalizes, or was able to revitalize some plays that were just unbearable because they were always done the same way.
Yeah.
And they were really different all of a sudden.
Yeah. I recently saw a play which was I just remember the costumes. I can't remember the title because I've really seen a lot. But it was put into another time and space by using very strange and fantastic costumes and leaving the language as it was. And that really worked,
Yeah.
for example.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's also the reason why it's so pronounced in Germany, in my opinion, is that there were a lot of very strong directors that were actually very good at doing this.
What we call Regietheater, do you think?
Regietheater, basically, yeah. For better or worse, but really directors who just thought, I can do with a play whatever I want, and I don't care what the writer intended, basically. And I think they were so good that it was possible, but it becomes kind of a fashion or something sometimes. And then it's not as interesting anymore. Maybe that's
and
true.
You need good actors.
And you need good actors. So that's true. And you need time. And that's something that American theaters, for example, don't have. They don't have time to rehearse. And I think that's also true for many other Europeans.
Yeah.
The rehearsal time for play in Germany is around the average, I guess, 6 weeks or something.
Yeah, 4 to 6 weeks.
4 to 6 weeks. And that is way more than any American play can imagine. I think 3 weeks is already like, wow, that's a lot.
Oh, really?
For one play, yeah, because the costs are so high and there's no government supporting it.
Yeah, sometimes actors and actresses are not getting paid for the rehearsals. That's the other possibility.
That's the other thing, yeah.
They have to rehearsal, but they don't get any money before the opening night.
Yeah, which is also exploitation at its best. Yeah.
How to earn a living during the 4 or 6 weeks.
Yeah. There are a few more questions for, and some of them we will answer later on because we planned. For example, the question, what was the most memorable performance you've seen thus far? Well, maybe it's not, well, one of the most memorable, we're gonna actually linger on a little bit longer later on. So maybe we're gonna get to this later. And then there's a professional American plays and rehearse between. I don't know. I don't see the rest. There's more to come. One person asked, have you ever left a show at intermission?
Yes, but I was there as a private person and I didn't have to write about it. And it was so disgusting that I left. But it was a private decision. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a hard decision, I find, as an audience member. I think I've done that once or twice. I find this very hard to leave early. But sometimes, yeah. It was disgusting. What was disgusting about it? Tell us more. Give us the juice.
Yeah, it was the naked bodies interacting. Do I have to tell more?
So it's kind of Reeperbahn style.
No, it was in Schauspielhaus.
Yeah, but Reeperbahn style, yeah. In Schauspielhaus, wow, okay. So Schauspielhaus, for the others here, Schauspielhaus is the largest theater, I think, in Germany.
Yeah,
in terms of no,
yeah.
More than 1,000 seats.
Yeah, right.
And it's very distinguished and very traditional.
And it's really beautiful.
And it's beautiful, yeah. It's beautiful. And it's in Hamburg, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay,
biggest theater in
so that's
Germany.
kind of a little overview. So my question would be, why theater and why theater at all? What interests you at theater? What made you a theater interested person? And even more, what made you a dance interested person?
Okay, I danced. I started dancing when I was really a small kid. I just danced at home for my own entertainment. So, um, and my parents both went to theater, and sometimes one of them didn't go. They had two tickets, and if maybe my father won't go, my mother said, "Okay, come on," and so I got the chance seeing Molière's. Uh, Der eingebildete Kranke, I don't know the title in English.
I don't know either.
La malade imaginaire en français, maybe.
Yeah. The imagined sick.
So I got the chance to see this heavy stuff at the age of, well, I don't know, at 11. And I still have some memories from this. I didn't get the whole story, but so I was introduced to theater. And then I danced professionally. And then I studied philosophy, and then I became a journalist. So
yeah. So you know what you're talking about when you write about dance, especially.
I know how they feel, I think. Yeah, mostly I know how they feel on stage. Yeah.
Yeah. Is there when you? I mean, it seems to be an obvious question, but still, um, is there? I'm sure there is a difference. What's between for you personally, for as a critic, as a professional, watching theater and watching a dance piece?
Mhm.
How does this work for you personally, maybe, but definitely professionally?
Okay. It's more easy for me to watch dance and to write about dance. It's close to me, to my body. I'm used to read the body language. And if I watch theater, I have to divide my perception into the body language, the spoken word, the story, and maybe the background, and maybe the history background. So I have to catch up all those different levels. And yeah,
Yeah.
this is different.
Well, I find it fascinating that it's easier for you to write about dance, because I would personally think it's harder because you have nothing to. It's a lot more interpretation open. I mean, that's the beauty of, for me, of dance, is that there's so much space for interpretation, whereas in more space for interpretation than in a written play, where you have at least the text that you can hold on to, and you kind of know what's supposed to be said. Whereas in dance, it's so much freer. The imagination is so much freer.
Yeah, but
Freer
I
is a
can
word.
relate to immediately, because I think of my personal and body language
Yeah.
experience, and it's poetry. Maybe you think of that. It's more poetry
Yeah.
than spoken language, or
Yeah.
than dialogues in theater.
Yeah. Um, somebody asked, is there a specific philosophy behind your writings, about your critiques, like which is where it's based upon, or do you go into do you try to be as untouched, so to speak, by your own thinking as possible? How does this work? And do you think it's a general that critics do what you do in general, or is that
I
a
don't know. I don't know in general. I
mm,
just can talk to my. Um, I I always the motivation behind it is that I really want to uh, to make it easy for everyone to go to theater. So I don't. I want to doubt or whatever people have, and if they not go to theater regularly, just to say, just to give the message, hey, it's possible for everyone to be to richer go out than you came in in a way.
yeah. Well, that's a good point. Yeah, but
And maybe
sometimes you
you can relate to whatever you there's surely there will be something you can everyone can relate to.
Yeah, and that's what you're looking for in your reviews.
That's what I try to communicate in my articles, in my texts.
Yeah, yeah.
I always want to say, go and watch.
Be exposed.
Mm.
Yeah. Okay. So that's the
Be open to
philo.
whatever experience it may be.
Yeah. Um, I'm seeing all these comments here. Texas, hello. That's an interesting comment, and so far, because I sometimes think the same. Sometimes I think there is a level of self-indulgence when I think of German theater that alienates the audience or assaults the audience. This is from an untrained American. Well, it's not untrained eye, probably, but from an American eye. Can you relate to that?
Alienate, also from
So,
alien.
like, dass
From,
wir, dass so, dass man so entfremdet wird, dass man sich nicht, dass
yeah,
man keinen Bezug dazu herstellen kann als
please
Zuschauer.
put it in German for me. I'm not sure if I got it right. Please, Oliver.
Yeah, that's what I just did. I tried. So, alienate ist like, dass du dich nicht davon berührt, dass du entfremdet wirst von dem Theater und nicht angezogen wirst. Das ist so abstrakt oder so sich selbst so wichtig nimmt, dass es sich gar nicht mehr ums Publikum kümmert, sozusagen.
Yeah, I've seen performances like that. Yeah, and or assault the audience. Yes, and like attacking the audience and
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
I know it's meant to kind of open your eyes, but sometimes it's like I feel like coming from an American background, island background too, but mostly American, I feel like it's like open your eyes, but you also want to shut your eyes. And there's no preparation for it. There's no
Yeah.
You know, the example that I think of, and I don't think it's from a German director, and it's coming from film. When I think of German theater, I think of Clockwork Orange.
Yeah.
That's
Okay.
as soon as the very first scene, I have to turn it off. I'm like, ah. But I also know that it's based on bringing out the reality of the world, and it's not pretty, it's not well packaged, but it's necessary. But I think the American culture is still trying to get away from the sugarcoating, and sugarcoating meaning like trying to have everything well packaged and commercialized and digestible.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
you know, it's still hard because you know sometimes you lose the message as you're being you know, assaulted with the image or the message, I guess.
If there is any, yeah.
If there's any, sometimes I think there's no message whatsoever.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's strange. I made the same experience with Clockwork Orange. I wasn't
Oh,
able to watch further on, like the
yeah.
very. It was really that I was so I felt like this. I had to stop. Years later, I saw the whole film.
I'm still working up to it.
Okay. Okay. And yeah, and I had those experiences in theater as well, being shocked and being yeah, there are some pieces that had these kind of moments. I have to assemble me together and some kind of yeah, put me together again in a way.
I mean, I appreciate it because American theater, I think, gets inspired by German theater and that kind of principle. I think a lot of the avant-garde stuff that we've had since, I don't know, the 40s, maybe even the 40s, 50s, 60s, definitely, 70s, really, I think it's inspired by German thought, mind thing. And I appreciate it, but it's like,
yeah. And the thing is, if you have those theaters founded and supported by the state or by the city, like these, they really get the money, whatever that might come out. And sometimes it brings out wonderful experimental and new perspectives, and
Mhm.
sometimes it brings out disgusting and nonsense and really shitty pieces.
And yet it's art. It's still considered art because I know art is supposed to invoke some type of feeling, whether it's a pleasant feeling or it's or not. So I mean, you have to respect it like that. But sometimes that's where the self-indulgence come in. It's like, I don't care if the audience likes it or not. This
No,
needs to be put out.
but maybe someone thinks about a piece it's self-indulgence, and another one thinks, well, it's opening new perspectives.
But I love that. I love it nonetheless. I love it nonetheless because it's something that it keeps you close to the pulse of what's going on,
Mhm.
which you don't get in the news here in America, what you don't get in
Yeah,
what we watch in reality TVs over here and
yeah.
stuff. So it's like it's even if it's in a theater setting, it's necessary.
And there is a piece I just wanted to talk about it, which called is Schwarze Augen Maria, Black Eyes Maria,
Yeah, yeah.
which really opened up, yeah, new doors for me.
Mm.
Okay.
Yeah, we're gonna watch a little piece of it in a bit. But I wanted to use Julie's comment of the influence of the German theater on the American theater, of which there is some evidence for it. But on the other hand, I hear from many American theaters makers, we can't do what you do in Germany for because the audience is not there and the finances are not.
Mm-mm.
However, there's the other way around, and that's one thing where Dagmar is really um, very knowledgeable about, and that's speaking of dance. There's an American in Hamburg, especially. His name, you mentioned him already, John Neumeier, who's has been. I mean, you can talk more about him than I. Who has been a choreographer? He was an American choreographer and formerly dancer, I guess, as well,
Mhm.
and artistic director of the ballet in Hamburg. And Dagmar knows him very well and all his shows. What is it about John Neumeier? Who is he, and what did you bring to Germany for us?
Sorry, the last question was?
What did you bring to Germany? Why is he so successful in Germany?
Ah, okay. Okay, he's yeah, he was born in and where he was born? I don't know. I just forgot it. But
In
I don't.
America.
Yeah, but it was not that. Okay. He went to London first to finish his education as a dancer there in London, and then he was invited to Stuttgart, a German town, which in the 60s kind of had this ballet miracle, which was always famous in the United States. And from Stuttgart and Frankfurt, he came to Hamburg in 1973, which is kind some centuries.
47 years ago.
And he just he established a very special relationship to his audience from the very beginning by letting the audience watch his work, letting them see how he works. He established these matinees on Sunday morning
Mhm.
called ballet workshops. And yeah, then he showed things that work out, things that really didn't work out. And so he let them really come close to how his bits and pieces were put together to a full evening event. And the audience appreciated very much this view upon his shoulder, how you call it. So really
Yeah.
into his
Over
kitchen,
his shoulder. Yeah.
where he's yeah, putting all those ingredients together and then having a choreography.
Yeah.
And so they really loved him from the very first year.
That was
Because
very new in those days, no? That you can actually.
yeah, only Stuttgart. He learned it from Stuttgart.
Yeah.
His ballet master, John Cranko, he's from South Africa. He learned it from John Cranko and he adapted it in a way to Hamburg.
And now he's a real legend, as far as I can tell.
He's a legend, yeah. He's touring all over the world. He has really fan clubs all over the world. That's why I'm writing for this Japanese magazine, because there are so many people who really wants to know what he's just doing.
Yeah, and we have a little video of one of his latest work, and I would like to share that. That's from the Beethoven project. That's not an accident. Beethoven's 250th birthday will be on December 17th. So the whole year was a Beethoven year, especially in Germany. And John Neumeier made this ballet about it. So that's a trailer. We only show trailers, obviously. So from the Hamburg Ballet. And once in a while, I'm going to stop and maybe you have seen this one, no? You have seen this was
the whole evening, right? Yeah.
Yeah. What did you think about the evening before we show it?
Well, it's not my favorite piece by Neumeier, but he makes this Ludwig van Beethoven. He puts it close to the audience. He makes him like a pal, like a friend in a way. He really shows a way to meet him, the person. And there's a dancer who incorporated this Ludwig van Beethoven, Aleix Martinez, who is really a very good dancer and very, very individual dancer.
Yeah.
You will see him right now under the piano.
Yeah. Oh, that was a bit late, but that's Beethoven there, right?
It's not.
I mean, it has been all the time. Yeah.
It's not fluently. It stops all the time.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Is that everywhere? Yeah. So as much as you could see, I don't know, the quality. And then comes Lukas' film, also good. I'm trying to stop it. Sorry for the technological problems, but I guess we are all used to this by now. So
okay, the most touching moments in this Beethoven project have been when Beethoven realized he's losing his he can't
his hearing. Yeah, he becomes deaf. Yeah.
And he's slowly becoming deaf.
Yeah, taub auf Deutsch in German. Taub, right. Deaf.
And these are really touching moments when he's really desperately trying to hear something, and John Neumeier's ballets always have psychological elements. He's always trying to analyze the person he's choreographing about.
Yeah, I think that shows already in that little output there. I mean, I lived in Hamburg for 20 or almost 30 years, and it was always John Neumeier in the ballet. It was never nobody else. He's going to have his 50th anniversary soon, no? So it's really pretty impressive.
Yeah, in 2023.
Yeah.
Yeah, then he will be. He's already the oldest living ballet director in the world. So that's already his.
Yeah. So that's a good example for intercontinental and transatlantic exchange of cultural forces, really.
Okay,
back and forth.
Someone's asking.
Sorry?
Someone's asking, would you share the link?
I'm going to share the link. Yeah, that's a good idea. I will in a bit. I'm struggling here a little bit with the technology right now, sorry, but I'm going to send it in a bit. What I wanted.
Milwaukee. It was Milwaukee.
It was Milwaukee, yeah.
Recall.
So somebody was asking about Sascha Waltz. Is there anyone's work you like better for dance than Sascha Waltz?
Yeah, lots of.
Oh, really?
Really, yeah. She did really great work and great choreographers in the beginning, but then she kind of, her work is repetitive. I think really she's doing the same in other movements, but really circling around herself.
Yeah,
anyway. It's only my
really
opinion.
No, it's I think her biggest time was in the 90s, I think, right? If I'm not totally mistaken. Yeah, I've seen some stuff of hers. I really liked it, but it's true. It's becoming. I can see what you mean with the repetitive. So, what other before maybe you can think about a choreographer or two that you would recommend. But in the meantime, I'm going to share actually the books that you wrote. Since there are a few people who actually speak fluent German here in this chat, this might be interesting for you, especially I think when you're interested in dance. And the latest one is here. I hope you can see it. Eine kurze Geschichte des Tanzes. A brief history of dance. And it's a pretty good work, and it got a lot of very good reviews. So the reviewer got good reviews. What I find especially astonishing, you really start kind of with the beginning of mankind and dance as a, I don't know, anthropological element. And to 21st century in 300 something pages, which is pretty, and not only Germany, but really world dance, basically, as far as I can tell. So how did you do it, and why did you do it? What do you want to tell us with this book, and why should we buy it, other than that you actually all should buy it? But why and how? What will we learn?
In what order? Okay. Yes, I from the very beginning, when I started to dance, I enjoyed very much reading about dance. I still have the first book my father gave me, antiquarisch.
Yeah, secondhand, basically.
Yeah, secondhand book. And since then, I'm collecting all the books I can afford to buy, because I really, like to notice how can dance be captured by words.
Yeah.
What was the other question?
How did you do it? 300 pages or 300 plus pages for a few.
Because I'm teaching the history of dance at university and at another school. So I'm teaching this for many years, and this is the essence of my teaching in this book. And it's only 300 and something pages, and I learned the art of letting things out, and missing yeah.
Missing the details sometimes, but
Yeah.
having the grand view. And I find it very interesting. It's really a very enlightening. I mean, if you look at the, there's, I don't know if it was
Oh, yeah,
here.
it's Elvin Ailey there.
Yeah.
You can see here.
So it's also with photos and so on. There's another book that you wrote that I find, and I remember that was, I was, I think, still in Hamburg then. About Ivan Liška.
One sentence about the book, Brief History of Dance.
Yeah.
I tried to write it for people who are not, who the dance world is new to them, and I really want them to enjoy reading. So I try to be kind of entertaining in my words, so they really can whatever.
So it's based on your university classes, but it's not an academic book, basically.
Right.
It's really not. What I read of it is really not.
I just want people to enjoy it by reading, and yeah, and so I have some private things about choreographers which you can't read anywhere else. Really, some things it made you want to know more.
Yeah. And there's another book that I find very interesting. Ivan Liška, he's a tänzer.
It's Ivan Liška. He was one of the he's from Prague, and he has very special biography because he had this in the 60s when in the then called Czechoslovakia was captured by the Russian, and so he flew to the West, and he was for 20 years he was one of the most profiled dancer in John Neumeyer's company. So I got to know him.
Yeah, that's also a pretty amazing book. Okay, that's just to show how you can write even books about dance without and adding really another layer to it. Yeah, that's very cool. So that's also, I mean, it's all of these books are available, of course, Amazon, but support your local bookstore, ladies and gentlemen. Maybe you find it there as well. Yeah, cool. So do you have any other suggestions of choreographers?
Yeah, sure. I really like Ohad Naharin. He's from Israel, working in Tel Aviv. Hofesh Shechter, another Jewish Israeli choreographer now living in London, and Jiří Kilian, for example, from Prague as well, and now living in the Netherlands. These three, for example.
Okay, cool. The names are a bit complicated. I don't know how to write them, but there will be a follow-up email, and I'm going to try to integrate them in the follow-up.
But I can write them in this.
Yeah, okay, all done. Yeah.
Oh, I only send it privately. How to? Okay, I have to check.
I send them per email. It's easy. It's okay. Quicker, faster. That's fine.
Yeah.
You just have to send them to me first. Yeah. But then we have it for everyone. That's good. Cool. Thank you. Okay, so that's dance. So what we wanted to do now is, since we are another interactive exercise for everyone. But before that, we're going to go a bit into the details of how to write a review. And we're going to make this relatively short, of course. And then we're going to show you, the audience, a trailer for a play. And we want you, all of you, to write a quick review of this very short scene, just for the sake of it. But before that, I thought how to write about theater. Dagmar, when you go to a theater, when you go to see a play, we talked already how you decide, you offer, and then the editor says this or that, and you're trying to push your policy. You want to enhance little theaters, not only the big ones, and so on. So that is that part. When you are sitting in the room, in the audience, typically everything is dark. How do you make notes? How do you do that? And or do you memorize everything that you see? And if you make notes, I actually know that you do make notes because I saw that already. What are you focusing on? What are you writing down?
Yes, I'm writing down. I have these small notebooks, not too big. And usually there's enough light from the stage because the journalists are mostly seated not that far away from the stage. So I have enough light from there. And then, yeah, I write everything down I find remarkable. And I change the levels. Sometimes I just write down a quote, what they've been saying, and I think it was an important sentence. Sometimes I watch the body language, how are they behaving. Sometimes I have an association and I write down what I think. Then so I mix the levels, but I have this this order at the end, and later at home I can recall the whole evening by reading my notes.
And do you
Mostly
do this?
I don't have to because I have written it. I can remember it better than not having written it. So I can, yeah. Then I do some research about the author, about the time, or whatever it needs to have a background information. And usually then I go to bed and write the next morning.
Yeah. So you write the next morning. What's your typical? So you come home like at 11 p.m. or something like that. So then you start the research, okay? And how much time do you have the next? What's your typical deadline, so to speak? How much time do you have to write?
A couple of hours. It depends, and when I get up, and yeah, I still have some couple of hours, and still can call somebody if I have another question. I can call the press officer of the theater. If sometimes there's things I really have to ask again, but most of the time I just start writing in the morning fresh, and then I have ideas.
And then you have to turn it in the same day, right?
For the daily newspapers, I have to deliver around 12 or 1 p.m.
Yeah. So that's the, I find this always pretty impressive. And then you have to choose, how long is the review? Who chooses how long the review is then?
Oh, that's always the editor. And this what they tell me this morning when I'm started to write already, and then they tell me, okay, you have 60 lines or whatever, or 80 or 100 if I'm lucky.
Yeah. So it's counted in lines or in words, or
sometimes in lines, sometimes in words. Is different.
Okay. And is it a difference for your payment, if I may ask, if review or short review, or?
Yeah, it's different.
So
everyone wants to have more lines.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, you're not alone. No, there are more critics than one for one newspaper.
Yeah, and not only because of the money, because so it's much more difficult to bring it to the point if you don't have space.
Yeah, space. Yeah, that's true. And I can say that from the theater side, the theater always sits there and hopes for long reviews, and then we take. I mean, the state theaters, they don't have much trouble with that, but the smaller theaters, then they're happy with 10 lines, with 20 lines, whatever it is. The more the merrier. And if there's a photo, this is like the big success when there is a photo for the theater. That's
Yeah.
really interesting. It's
Sometimes if
always a
you have a
battle.
photo, you have less lines.
Yeah, that's true. But it attracts readers basically.
How many words per line? Dagmar Epstein is asking. It's different from newspaper to magazines. For example, the newspaper has 25 to 30. Oh, it's not words. It's letters. Anschläge, what we call it.
Yeah.
Letters. It's 25 to 30 letters per line. Yeah, it's not much.
Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy sometimes.
Because you count the points and the commas and the semicolons as well. Okay.
Yeah, it's an art form of its own sometimes.
But I really love.
And restrictions help.
I think it's easier for me as soon as I know how much space I have. It's hard to just start writing and not knowing the end.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, restrictions help actually help to write sometimes. I can tell. Okay, so that's how it works. So you write down your impressions, and they can be of anything. And since you already mentioned with an open mind, so it can be the cost, can be the words, can be the body language, can be some lighting, can be something else.
Maybe the setting, maybe it's in Weißer Raum, it's a special setting, for example. This Weißer Raum is very, very direct.
Exactly. And that's what we want to do with our audience now, just for the fun. So you chose Weißer Raum, white room or white space. I don't know what's the better translation there. To make this little exercise, let's say, about, so we're going to show you the audience. It's not super ideal because it's not one scene. We're going to show a little bit more. But we want you, if you're interested, to write down your impressions and really open up your mind. Write down whatever you're not trained on it, so it's okay. And this is nothing academic. It's more for fun. If you can't do it in German, if you can't do it in English, write down your impressions, and then we give you a minute or 2 minutes to write a review of this scene.
Okay, maybe I should just tell what it's all about, just 1 or 2 sentences, yeah?
Exactly, good, yeah.
Okay, it's a piece by a young author, and he's kind of warning about the danger of the new rising of the right-wing ideas in Germany, which is obvious. So he's Lars Werner, the author, he's kind of left-wing, of course, and he's showing how the right-wing ideas can divide a family, especially a father and a son. Okay.
Yeah, father and son, exactly. And Weißer Raum. And you wrote a review about it. How was your review? Or let's talk. Yeah, should we mention it now or later?
Up to you.
Yeah, good question. Let's say, was it? I mean, you chose this this trailer, so I guess because you liked it. What did you like about it?
Very much, yeah.
Yeah.
Lars Werner is really a big talent, I think, a very young author, and he really brought it to the point where the danger is coming from the every man on the street.
Is there something specific about the way he uses language that is interesting for you, or is it the topic more?
No, it's just not too easy, not too difficult. So it's really everyone can relate to.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. And he's young, so he's the future of German theater, basically.
Yeah.
Lars Werner. I've never heard of him before, but that's because I'm out of the country for 10 years now. So
I made an interview with him, so that's why before I made an interview and then I wrote a review. So I had the chance to ask him some things. Okay, so Go ahead.
So dear audience, so the thing is, we're going to show you this trailer, and it's of course a trailer, so you see different scenes. And you can write, so to speak, a review about the trailer of the play. And then afterwards, so make notes, and then you write the review. And then we want to invite you to read your review. And it's not, we don't judge or anything. It's really more for you to see what's going on for a critic. Of course, a critic does that every night, basically. So there's
every morning.
So there's a routine in it. For us, it's not, but it's also interesting. In my and I guess in everybody's experience, as soon as you have a task about something, you have a different perspective of it. Mm-hmm. You're not a only audience anymore, and that's, I think, the good thing about this exercise. You start to look differently. Okay, so I hope the technology, please excuse if it's not so great or anything. We live with what we have today. And by the way, you have subtitles, and you can already tell, little extra for you, it starts in English, which is very typical in German, often. English words in German mixed into German is very, very typical. Okay, let's go. Do you all have your pens? Your mind? Open your mind. It's 8 p.m. The curtain opens if there's a curtain. I personally, by the way, I'm not a friend of curtains in theater, but that's a personal taste. Okay, 3, 2, 1, go.
Go away. Go away. Stop. Stop. Go away. Stop. Go away. Stop. Stop away. Stop. Stop away. Stop.
Ich habe sie gerettet.
Und ich möchte nur verstehen, warum. Stop. 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 Stop away. Stop. Stop away.
Das ist mein Sohn.
Ja, genau deswegen muss ich ihn von dir beschützen.
Was?
Oh. Bleib weg von uns.
Okay, and I make it a bit easier for you. I play it again.
Go away. Go away. Stop. Stop. Go away. Stop. Away. Stop. Away. Stop. Stop away. Stop.
Ich habe sie gerettet.
Und ich möchte nur verstehen, warum. Stop. Stop. Stop away. Stop away.
Das ist mein Sohn.
Ja, genau deswegen muss ich ihn von dir beschützen.
Was?
Oh. Bleib weg von uns.
So. Obviously, I don't, or anyone expects like a extensive review now, but if you can also focus on one of the parts that you saw, if you like, if that's easier for you. For me, I think it would be easier.
Okay, meanwhile, Oliver,
Yeah.
Julie Alexis sent another question. Can
I
you
didn't see
please translate it for me so I'm sure I got it right?
Yeah. I will try my best.
Yeah.
Ich hab sie
I saved
gerettet.
her,
Und ich möchte
and I would
nur
like to
verstehen,
understand
warum.
why.
Stop, stop, stop. Stop, stop, wait. Stop.
Music.
Stop, stop, wait.
I don't need to translate that, I guess.
Are you sure the third time right now?
Yeah. So I think that's a rendition of a traditional song, but I'm not 100% sure. Come,
Yeah,
dear
right.
May, month of May, and make the trees green again.
Das ist mein
My
Sohn.
son.
Ja, und genau deswegen muss ich
And
ihn
that's
vor
why
dir
I have to
beschützen.
protect him from you. Stay away from us. Who's the protector? Is she the mother or?
Yeah, she's the mother.
Mm-hmm.
Are they
Okay. In
still a
German,
couple, the father and the mother?
yeah, still a couple. Yeah.
Okay. Mm,
Can you translate it, please, in the in between? So
My
I got Julie right.
it's the question I submitted in the chat.
Yeah.
Ah, sorry, I don't see my chat right now because I'm sharing. 1 second.
This is the second half of the question. I'm not sure if I got her.
Ah, here. This.
Shoot.
I think you wrote it only to Dagmar privately.
No,
Oh, no,
Julie
to
Alexis to alle.
everyone. I put it for everyone, but
Everyone, yeah.
but it's more or less on how you go about a review, how you stand by your review.
Ah,
Because
okay. Oh, now I see it. Yeah, sorry.
If I still have my opinion one day later.
Ja, ob du dich verteidigen musst, mal, deine Einschätzung gegenüber dem.
do you ever
Nee, ob du deine Meinung änderst, genau. Ja, ob du deine Meinung manchmal änderst über das, was du gesehen hast, nachdem du es veröffentlicht hast.
Yeah, in Nuancen, yes.
Ja.
Sometimes and sometimes slightly.
Ja.
do you ever
So,
do you ever regret, that it's not the full interpretation that you wanted expressed? Or do you just stand by whatever you wrote from the get-go, from the first time you wrote it?
No,
You don't ever revisit your reviews.
I don't have the chance to revisit and being published my my slightly changed opinion. It's
Mhm.
I have only one chance, and if I change my mind, then I have no chance to publish it again.
Okay.
And then it's a personal problem.
yeah. I guess that's a problem for everything that's being published. No? That's public.
Mhm.
I
Yeah,
have the same fears, or not, but no, not the same fear. That's not the right. When I publish something, and it could be something for Goethe-Zentrum, just a newsletter, or it could be a play that I wrote, or a scene, or whatever. As soon as my word, I don't know. Actually, that's a good question, Dagmar. I always get super nervous once it's in the open. The
when
moment
it's out in the universe, when it gets out
it's
into the
like
universe.
it's terrible for me. And it can be a newsletter, just it really doesn't matter what it is. And I don't know how you survive that pressure every day. Actually, that's actually a good point.
Okay, because it's the opposite. I always felt great if I just after I did it.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. So I send it and I feel great and better and light and
I envy you.
Me too. Me too.
Maybe that's one of one of the qualifications for a critic, that you really have to, yeah, you have to be sure about yourself. That's true. I mean, up to a point.
I'm not. I question my point of view.
Yeah.
So before I start to write, and
Yeah.
I have been attacked very seldom, but I have been attacked for my reviews from a theater director, from another visitor, from I don't know person, and yeah, and really, once I was really attacked personally, so I really shouted at me and beleidigte mich.
Did you block the person? You blocked them?
Well, I had him on the phone. He called me, and
and then you quietly hung up the phone.
no, I said, I think you should calm down.
Yeah. I mean, it's difficult sometimes to read about your work. It's not always easy, but it's not there's no reason to be negative. Yeah.
Yeah, I was negative. I've been negative in this example, but I was very, very sure that every word was really planned. And weeks later, he called me again and said, "I'm sorry."
Wow.
Well, that's good. Yeah. So you stood your woman.
Yeah.
Okay, audience. Are you done with your? Is anyone willing to read their review as it is now? The perfection is not the goal here. It's just to try it out.
I would like you to give me an Uber.
Is there anyone volunteering to? Okay, Dagmar. Yeah. So Dagmar is going to read, and Dagmar is going to hear. Listen.
Where are you going?
To pick up
Yeah.
Okay.
I can see her.
Ein Stück voller Konflikte und Konfrontationen zwischen Generationen und zwischen einem Elternpaar. Der Sohn ist in einer anderen Partei und wird verletzt. Und man sieht ihn dann im Rollstuhl. Die Mutter verteidigt den Sohn gegen seine Parteimitglieder und auch gegen ihren Mann. Denn sie sagt, es ist unser Sohn, ja genau deswegen muss ich ihn von dir beschützen. Und gegen die Parteimitglieder, bleib weg von uns. Das Stück ist dramatisch neben und vor einer weißen Ebene gespielt, die sich nach hinten, nach oben biegt und damit auch als Projektionswand benutzt werden kann. Diese Konflikte zwischen Liebe, Hass und Familie und den verschiedenen Parteien in diesem starken Raum müssen mit dem Publikum resonieren.
Great.
Wow. Seriously? Wow. I'm impressed personally.
Thank you so much, Dagmar. Thank you. Great, great.
What do you think, Dagmar? Does that is that a critique you enjoy reading, or what is there anything that you, I mean, not the content, but just in general?
Yeah, for an elaborated group of readers, yeah.
Yeah. Is it?
You said you maybe there's another one who want to read, don't you think?
I don't know. Let's talk about this one first.
Okay.
So I think there was a lot of interpretation, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's pretty good. And description, that's really what I thought. Well, I can really imagine the play after I read about it.
Mm-hmm.
What I don't know is if you enjoyed it, or if you think it was the right one personally, if it was a good approach. But maybe Dagmar Epstein. What do you? That's what I was wondering. Is it a good review or is it a bad review?
The piece was so short that it was
Yeah.
hard for me to
Yeah.
have an opinion.
Yeah.
I just thought it was an engaging piece. And so I wanted to say that it will resonate with the audience, but I couldn't tell whether people would like it or not like it. And I wasn't sure I could judge it right then.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, that makes sense. Totally. And I think, Dagmar, sometimes that happens also in professional criticism. Huh? Then it's more a summary or something almost, and less a critique. Sometimes I have the impression. Or is that wrong? Impression?
I think everyone should try to find a point of view from where to look and where to judge. And sometimes you have to say, well, the piece has its moments, but as well or something. But sometimes I really enjoy the whole evening and can really write a good review, and sometimes I have to really criticize and say, I don't believe this actor anything or something, because sometimes the director did not a good job, and so it's depends on the piece.
Yeah. Well, I know one thing. I couldn't have written so much in such a short time about this piece. I'm pretty impressed.
Yeah, it's great.
Seriously. Anyone else? We have time for one more review before we come to the very last video. If anyone wants to raise their hand, now is your time. Maybe you explore your inner critic now. Okay, then we keep it at that. Danke, Dagmar. Das ist mutig, aber es war echt gut. Also ich fand es echt interessant. I think something I would have looked at was the music. Actually, that's something that I found very interesting as well.
Yeah.
Just for this piece. And I'm mentioning this only because I find in German theater, contemporary theater, it's a big part of how directors or even writers approach this, no?
Yeah, and there was live music on stage, but it was really in a very, very good balance to the text and to the vision.
Yeah, I see this not so often in American plays. They're often either it's a musical or there's no music, basically.
No.
And in German theater, more and more, it's like a mix of everything.
Yeah.
Not in a sense of a musical at all. Musicals, no. But
just to have an atmosphere.
Music as a kind of emancipated factor in the storytelling. Yeah. Good, because I mean the Q&A was going on all over the almost 90 minutes now, but I don't want to stop this conversation without someone was talking in the beginning, asking in the beginning a very memorable show or play that you saw, and we talked about this as well, Dagmar, and you mentioned Schwarze Augen, Maria, Black Eyes, Maria, and I found this choice very interesting. And could you talk a little bit about Schwarze Augen, Maria, and why it affected you so big in a few sentences? And then I'm going to show one of the trailers for that piece.
Okay. The piece I saw in 2013, so it's 7 years ago, and it opened the season at Schauspielhaus unexpectedly because something else was missing. But anyway, it lasts for 6 hours. 6 hours, and the audience was let in an empty school, former school, and then the group uses this school for the performance. So we have to move a lot during these 6 hours in this house, and every person, every one in the audience was a visitor of this kind of home for disabled children. So was the arrangement. And so we have to visit the different apartments where the families with these disabled children lived. But they, so we really, there was no border between the audience and the actors. We were supposed to ask questions to the parents, to the doctors, because they were cared and they got treatment. And there was a story 10 or 20, I can't remember, years ago, when there was an accident, and 9 months after this accident, a couple of women gave birth to these children. So they all were born more or less at the same time. And they all had black eyes, and they all had the ability to look into the future, to predict the future. That was a common sense. And we, like detectives, had to move from room to room and find out what is it all about, what's the accident about, why are these children so how they are, and talking to the parents, how do you live with those children. And yeah, and we had drinks, and we had something to eat in between, because 6 hours, it's a really long time. And yeah, but we had a role right from the beginning. Every visitor had a role. You are the visitor of this home of this sick people.
Yeah. I think in America, and I think also in Germany, this runs under the label of immersive theater. But I've never heard of an immersive play of 6 hours in America. It's pretty big. Immersive theater is pretty big in Miami, for example, partly due to the writers and producers who do this, but also due to the weather, I think. Thinking of Miami Motel Stories and other things for those people who are in Miami. But it has a very different, it's interesting, and it's, for example, Miami Motel Stories. It's about gentrification a lot, and it takes place in old hotels and motels, and very good writers and everything, and very good production. But it is still, it's there to entertain. That's way good. Whereas 6 hours of this story seems to be not necessarily entertaining. But you said to me, it was kind of maybe not life-changing, but really you changed your perspective of.
Yeah, right. When I went out, I thought I was a different person compared to the situation when I went into this performance. Yeah, it
And
really
I feel that's
changed my perception and my.
I think this is the ultimate reward that you can give to someone who makes theater and kind of bends the limits of theater. And it's made by a group called Signa, I think. No, Signa?
Yeah, it's Signa. And the woman is from Denmark, and her husband is from Austria.
Yeah.
And it was we all made an experience instead of just enjoying an evening or something.
Yeah. And I think that brings the circle. German theater or European theater can sometimes seem very, like Julie said, like keep them out. But this tendency to stress people out can also lead to, and it's often the hope is to break the barriers, really, the emotional barriers, and really have an effect that you won't have otherwise. It doesn't happen often that it actually works, and often it's really not working, but it seems to be in this case.
6 hours, and I cried and I laughed and I I was.
That's pretty amazing.
Really.
And I just want to play, that's kind of our end. Well, we're going to say goodbye, but this is our last trailer. And I love this trailer, I have to say. I watched it twice till I completely understood it, but just the first part of it. It's no words. So, and just the trailer makes me want to see the rest of it.
「
Yeah, it was really kind of spooky.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. You see this child on the cover, and at least I expect that she's pulling the child to her, but she just wants the comfort of the cover, and it seems to be very, I don't know,
Yeah.
not in a good state. And I find this tells in one scene so many things at once. So I find this impressive. So I was very glad when you mentioned this. I've never seen it before.
Thank you. Julie?
I thought the same thing. I mean, it looks like postpartum depression.
Yeah, exactly.
Postpartum, and it also looked. I was concerned that was a real baby for a second there. I was like, oh gosh.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's so isolating. They're in the same space but isolated from each other. The baby doesn't know why she's isolated, but the mom has a history to draw, and the baby has no history.
And you couldn't even be sure if that's the mom.
I know.
Sure.
You automatically assume that.
Yeah, exactly. It plays with a lot of assumptions, and you cannot really hold. That's true. And it's just a very good image. I mean, that's when a director manages, I mean, from that perspective, to give you one image that says it all and nothing at the same time, it's just amazing.
Yeah. They're really doing great work.
Okay, on that slightly dark note, in terms of content, but really an example, I guess, for European theater at its best, I would argue.
Yeah.
I would like to end our session today. And I want to thank our audience also for the writing, but also for your questions, and also just for being here. And of course, I want to thank Dagmar Fischer, Ellen Fischer, to be here and to give us a little insight into your profession, but really about how to look at theater and dance, and why to look at theater and dance, really. And German theater, for that matter, mostly. And I hope to see all of you back next Sunday, when we have two professors who will talk about, one from America and one from Germany, who will talk about theater in the times of Corona. That is actually, that will be something that I recorded, I think, in early summer already. And I'm going to some of, and then the two professors who are also directors will then be in the Q&A and answer questions. How is it now? What was the expectation of Zoom theater, and how did it actually turn out after a few more weeks? So it's going to be a little bit of a different style, but still very interesting. And then the week after next week, there will be Nino Haratischvili, best-selling author and playwright. Interesting also for German learners. Her first language is really Georgian, not the Georgia in America, but the Georgia in the former Soviet Union, if you will. But she writes in German and is now seen as one of the main young German authors, really. Dagmar, you know her as well. I think that's definitely definitely true what I'm saying. No? She's really an very interesting writer for theater. She's also a director for theater, and she's a novelist. And then the last one, hopefully, right before Christmas and right before Hanukkah, will be about Jewish theater in Germany and Austria, hopefully. Still trying to book 2 people, one from Vienna and one from Hamburg. Actually, a friend, not a friend, but is it a friend of yours, Dagmar, or
No.
a person that you know, that you've seen shows of?
Yeah.
So, and it's really about Jewish theater, which is always, of course, a very special part of the German history.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. Yeah, so I'm saying thank you and goodbye. Happy Thanksgiving for the rest of the Sunday, and see you soon. Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
Dagmar, stay for, yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. You can
Bye-bye.
show yourself one last time. Dagmar, stay here. Don't get out.
Okay.
Let's talk a little soon. And see
Okay.
you all. Tschüss und auf Wiedersehen.
Tschüss.
Danke.
Bye. Thank you.
Tschüss. 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 Good to see you.
I forgot to ask. Oh, I forgot to ask my question.
Yeah, me too. I remembered it, but too late.
Yeah. Yeah.
There are still 6 people in the chat. Disappear. Was very nice seeing you.
I was a bit nervous.
Yeah, me too.
But I just try to be yeah, I just want to have it lively and interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. No, all good. And I'm so,
Rebecca's there.
yeah. Hello, Rebecca. She's from, I
She's
think Rebecca is from a friend of mine. I don't know if it's the right last name, from Atlanta, actually. Talk to you later, Rebecca.
Ah, yeah.
So.
Okay, now. And everything has been recorded?
I forgot the first 5 minutes or something.